All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News. home of the Death Star Mike. I would like to fix that eventually because I don't know, just looks a little weird to me. It's a little annoying, but whatever. I'm more going with what I got here. This is the best that StreamYard can give me as far as a green screen goes. But anyways, it's the 4th of July. Where we're supposed to be celebrating America's birthday. And there's not a lot of people feel like they don't really want to celebrate for pretty good reasons, pretty fair reasons. Malcolm says happy new fascism. Exactly. Victory Jen over on X. We're live on X, YouTube, and if you want to watch on Telegram, Bella, Malcolm, Deline, William. What's up, William? How you doing? Some folks watching everywheres, and that's cool. Yeah, let's do the dang thing. I don't know if any of y'all have plans. I know on the East Coast it's already kind of later in the day. I haven't heard too many fireworks yet today. I did early in the morning this morning. I'm in kind of a I guess you would call like a very high fire hazard area right now. So hopefully I don't hear too many fireworks because yeah. Denver says this is the plan. Oh, I forgot to show the comments on the screen. Keep forgetting. And that's, I won't do my Michael McDonald impersonation, but I keep forgetting. We got him yet? Do we got him? Here we go. I guess we got to wait till somebody comments. This is the plan that was agreed to by 179 nations. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. It's a totalitarian global state being developed right now all over the world. Sounds like 1984 for sure. It's a digital control plan for all land, water, food, and all information data. Yes. Yes, y'all. SS, y'all. Let's see. Senator Sheldon presentation shows us the size black dots of our tiny energy use compared to the epic ocean thermal cost. I didn't see it. I did not. What y'all got going on today? Anybody got plans? I don't have too many plans. I think I'm going to go take my daughter out to dinner. I think that's happening. So Texas got smacked down. got the weather whiplash beat down last night, and it's just a matter of time before if you haven't already gotten the weather whiplash beat down, it's a matter of time before you get the weather whiplash beat down, because it does not care about your socioeconomic class, your location. It doesn't care if you're in the perfect spot or not. Whether it's floods, fires, heat, or freezing, It's coming to you eventually. Oh, I see. I see. Denver. Or I'm trying to see. I don't know if it showed up at the top for me. Kameshwari Kate is standing at the entrance to Stanley Park with my banner stating "Stop logging Stanley Park." Good on you. Kameshwari Kate, let's all be like Kameshwari Kate and stand with the trees and the indigenous. Bella, you just ate a ripe sugar rush pepper. Yeah. Yeah. Making guac. Man, that sounds good. Making me hungry, man. Making me hungry. What's up, Krista Nomad? How you doing? Slap a price tag on everything, says Victory Chin. We out here putting UPC codes on everything. Malcolm says, I retired from activism and on to got some land stage, deep adaptation time. I hear you. And I feel you on that. Oh, Bella, right on, man. Thank you. I would love a pepper package. I'm going to have to send you, well, definitely send it to the P.O. box because my mailing address is always changing these days. And my P.O. box stays constant. So if you can send it to the P.O. box, I would love some peppers, man. I promise to go get them before they get bad. So Texas got murked. Parts of Texas. This is the one I want. Multiple deaths have been reported after flash flooding in central Texas, where Guadalupe River overflowed. The Guadalupe River overflowed overnight, impacting communities like Kerrville, Centerpoint, Ingram, and Comfort. And man, houses were, why can't I see this? Houses were washed away. People were washed away. Did anybody see?
Holy shit, this is crazy. Me. Wow.
Oh, we're just going to watch this. We got a lot of videos today, so we're going to be doing a lot of watching of videos.
Like, get me the hell out of here. Look at that little piece of.
Is there people floating down the river? Or is it just debris? Oh, it's like debris. Deline, another dead whale on Huntington Beach. Man, that's going to impact the 4th of July plans, I think, for Huntington Beach. They've had a bunch of those. I think just in the last year, several have washed up. I'm not seeing anything about July 3rd, but I've seen several. If that actually has happened, that's going to be a bummer for there's Huntington Beach, tons of people out there doing the 4th of July thing, I think. The whale was 50 foot long and its belly was empty. I can't find anything on it. Let's see. Let me try and get my search better. I don't see one on July 3rd, but there's been several. Breaking news. Let's see. KTLA 5. Let's see if this is. No, there was one on April 12th or 13th, and that's the one I'm seeing. Huh. Apparently, they buried in 2019. They buried a whale in the sand because they couldn't dispose of it. All right. I'm getting off course here. Yes, send blessings and prayers to the safety of firefighters in San Luis County fighting the Madre fire. We talked about that yesterday. Here's some more footage of the flooding in Texas, which was quite severe. And if you don't think the climate of the world has changed or that the environment has changed to allow for all of these major crazy weather events, sure, I'm open-minded about manipulation, but there is the basic manipulation of humans impacting the planet negatively. I just think that's just quite obvious. It's very, very obvious. If you can see it locally, and you can, I'm sure that you can, anywhere that you are, if you can see the impact of humans locally on the environment, just expand that to the rest of the planet. And it's just not that hard to understand. Okay. Sorry about the gravel. I did get to sleep in today. Man, that was nice. One of the rare days that I sleep in. I'm usually up very early in the morning. But I needed it. I needed some repair and restoration. My back has been killing me for a couple days. Now it's finally better. It's good enough to go out and like run down the street without like serious pain. Flash flood, and this is more from the Guadalupe River. And so basically it rose 26 So this is that. 18, 20 feet of water. Now, so I'm hoping for no more casualties in that weather incident. New Jersey also got smashed. Severe storms overnight killed 3 people in New Jersey. 3 people. North Plainfield saw major damage from strong winds. Holiday travel was disrupted for millions ahead of 4th of July weekend. All right, I'm going to show a couple of videos, good videos that y'all. Salt Lake is an obsolete optics. Posted in the Telegram. And let's see. Start with Carrie Wedler. And her views on what's going on.
If this fills you with pride and this really get you going, and you know this stands for freedom, and this fills you with rage because
people that burn the American flag
should go
right to jail.
Congratulations, you're not a patriot. You hate your country and are a groveling simp for government. Let me break it down for you. It's anti-American to worship government, but according to the Socialist Bond Pledge, when you pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, you're also pledging allegiance to the republic for which it stands, literally government. Further, the flag symbolizes the 50 states, government, and the 13 colonies, also government. It flies on government buildings, and many of the government agents who wear special authority costumes and badges wear it too. I know you probably think this government idolatry is righteous because America's a republic, and the republic is in a special class above democracy and government at large. But this republic still resulted in a massive, extremely powerful government and empire. Those who've ruled over it have actively crushed liberties repeatedly throughout history and are still doing exactly that, desecrating founding principles by building your digital mass surveillance prison, expanding the police state, empowering the oligarchy, and silencing speech while adding to the multi-trillion-dollar debt. Much of that debt was accrued forming a massive standing army and waging endless unconstitutional wars, things the law-breaking, authority disrespecting, criminal founding fathers warned would lead to despotism. And don't forget those entangling alliances. These assaults on liberty are invariably bipartisan, a threat foretold by George Washington, who cautioned against political parties and factions, though he likely didn't predict them merging into a uniparty. And you're celebrating this dystopia like a useful idiot for tyrants, guzzling fear porn from the same authorities who will happily give you a false sense of security in exchange for your freedom. You don't love American values. You love the Hollywood and government propagandized version of America that manipulates you into supporting authoritarianism. You hate real American values, possibly more than the flag burners you'd like the government to throw in cages. You choose violent authority, obedience, and collectivism over freedom. But it's not too late. The American Revolution was paradigm shifting. It was a lightning bolt to human history and progress, driven by distrust of authority and a willingness to defy it. So if you really value America's founding principles, keep advancing that logic. Jefferson knew that the natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and government to gain ground. And as Madison understood, the essence of government is power, and power lodged as it must be in human hands will ever be liable to abuse. They thought they could restrain it, that it
Might work for us.
only for many of them and subsequent rulers to violate their own principles. If they saw how it turned out today, they might even abandon their faith in violent political authority altogether, even when it allegedly works for the people. And so should you. And if this all sounds like extremist heresy to you, great work. You hate America's founding values, are a traitor to its legacy, and probably would have been a crown loyalist in 1776.
Yeah. Good stuff from Carrie Wedler. In France, there's a mural depicting the Statue of Liberty hiding her face in shame. This is unveiled before Independence Day. She was a gift from France who once welcomed the tired and the poor. And now the government wants to make you tired and poor and then kick you out for complaining about it. Sounds positively narcissistic. Absolutely Machiavellian. Kick people around and then punish them for saying something about it is kind of the law of the land these days. Denver says the flag of the USA is based on the design of one of the later British East India Company flags. Oh, didn't know that. I can't see all the comments right away. Some of the comments are... I see quite a few of those flags, Delene. upside down flags. And here's a bit of George Carlin. Some relevant commentary.
There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table to figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Believe it. All right. Good stuff.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks. And it's
All right. Deline says he gives me the chills because of his honesty. Yeah. You're a thinker in critical condition. Oh, that's interesting. Adams and Jefferson died within hours of each other in 1826. Interesting. Didn't know that. Keep them coming, Denver. I like these notes. The vote to secede or declare independence happened on July 2nd and formally drafted and adopted on the 4th. Two of the primary drafters of the Constitution. All right. You were at Milwaukee Summerfest when Carlin was arrested for saying 7 naughty words. When was this? What year was this? This is a thing that people would, right? Old Lenny was arrested and politically savaged when he was a comedian. I mean, yeah, there's some suppression going on these days. Absolutely. It is not a good time for free speech. But if you remember, several decades ago, people were like Dave Chappelle could have been, in jail for saying the things he was saying. I don't remember the last time I've heard of a comedian going to jail or having. Now, lawfare is happening. Journalists have been killed in Gaza. There is political persecution of certain journalists. They end up just kind of expiring in like strange accidental circumstances, right? That's generally what happens to them these days. But you don't hear of people being thrown in jail and being sued or hounded by the government with lawfare. But people who spoke out in the past face the same kind of consequences. Heavy-handed tactics by the government to silence them, to persecute them, and sometimes to unalive them. Let's listen to this teacher in Ohio talk about the gulf between rich and poor. It has not gotten better, despite the fact that some Democrats have been voted into office. Yeah, I'm going to talk shit about Democrats. Why? Because they're selling you out while trying to give you hope. And it is not. The reason why I keep bringing this up is because the reason why they still have power is because you keep giving them power. So stop giving them power to sell you down the river and sell you out. Sorry, my frame rate is really low right now. My apologies. But, Clinton, Obama, Biden, each forwarded the fascist/conservative agenda that the Republicans, tend to speed up when they're in office. And the Democrats barely put the brakes on, if at all. And sometimes they speed up some Republican agenda type things under the cover of being Democrats. And things get progressively worse. And then you wonder why things get progressively worse, even though every once in a while there's a Democratic president who is in office for 8 years or 4 years. And you're like, why didn't anything get any better? Because you thought stopping the onslaught of fascism was just enough. And what didn't really stop. Again, they barely put the brakes on. Again, Bill Clinton, NAFTA, Obama, Obamacare, habeas corpus, Biden, Roe versus Wade, and other atrocities, genocide. Not to mention all of these presidents committed war crimes against, people that don't live here in the form of military escapades and bombs and whatnot. All of them. But it's cool if they do it. It's fine. It's American. Sure. James Monroe died on July 4th, 1831. 3 of the first 5 presidents of the USA dying on July 4th. That is interesting, man. That is interesting. Strange facts. Coincidence? St. Petersburg got some flooding going on too. Oh, let's listen to this first. Sorry. I'm skipping.
School kindergarten. The kids are the sons of doctors, lawyers, NBA players. And every day they speak in 4 languages: Mandarin, Spanish, American Sign Language, and English. It was Montessori style, so they learned just like everything. They had a lunch buffet every day with an organic salad bar with vegan options. I was teaching 4th graders Julius Caesar and talking about like the precipice of consciousness. And then I would get into my beat up Honda Accord manual, 1999, and drive to inner city Cleveland, where I ran an after-school program for disadvantaged youth. These are the kids where like the school cannot afford to give them textbooks, where like the first meal of the day for them would be like the banana and juice box that I would bring for the kids, like, out of my own pocket. 35-year-old grandma would like pick up her 6-year-old. It was just so clear the school to prison pipeline that was set up. And I would just like leave feeling so guilty. I would cry every day. Nothing. It's not about me. And I hate when people are, well, if you changed one life, you made a difference. That's not the fucking point. The point is that every fucking kid should have access to clean water, to education, to not have their first meal of the day be at 4 p.m. It should not be up to a fucking 6-year-old to understand the structures are at play, and for them to have to be perfect from 6 years old to 18 so that they can have a chance at a life. And if you fucking believe that, you're like a wicked human being.
Yep. And those kinds of economic holes that people are born into, or even sometimes fall into, are really difficult to get out of. When you're in a hole like that, economically and socially, financially, I know economic and financial are the same things. Even, culturally, because, being poor is a culture. And it's a state of mind. It is a state of mind, but it's not like, oh, just change your state of mind and you won't be poor. No, it's really hard to see outside of a particular reality when it's you're grinding against it every single day, right? If you're grinding all day long to just keep the lights on and keep food in your mouth, like, it's really difficult to even have a moment to think outside of that reality. It's very difficult to get out of that. Everything we do in the U.S. is to get the 1% more money. This is Scott Galloway. Also, let me remind you, friends, history tells us that robbing the poor to feed the rich never ends well. Yep. It is a bad business plan. It's just bad business. And bad business isn't like morally wrong. It's not like that's bad business. I mean, it is morally wrong, but it's just bad for business, right? Like if you're somebody who is a business person and it's a bottom line, like, it's bad business. Like, you eventually will hurt yourself or hurt the environment in which you're trying to operate. Some people make out like bandits during crisis and economic downturn, but very few, right? the very, very few at the top. And a lot of people get wrecked. A lot of people with money get wrecked. Where are we? Are we watching this?
The real fight is between rich and non-rich. And America has essentially become...
Can we hear that again? The real fight is between the rich and the not rich. It's not between left or right. It's not between Democrats and Republicans. It's not between, races. It's not between women and men. It's between the rich and the non-rich. I don't know how many times we've forgotten a lot of these mantras that were very prevalent just a few years ago, right? During the Bernie days. Only it was just a decade ago that people were sounding off about, the class war, right? The real war. And you don't hear anything about that at all now, really. Now it's just people like holding their faces like, what's happening? I don't know. Probably should have taken all those slogans that we had 10 years ago and done something about it. But they did do a really good job of siphoning off your energy by making you believe that voting for AOC or Cory Bush would totally turn things around.
An operating system where the bottom 99% is basically a dopa bag to get the 1% more money. Everything we do in the US is to get the 1% more money. I think every piece of legislation, right? My tax rate is 17%. When I was in my 20s and 30s and making hundreds of thousands of dollars, I made a lot of money. I was paying 30, 40% tax rate. Now that I make millions of dollars a year, my tax rate is plummeted to 17%. And in America, the reason they put up with that is that America's superpower is its optimism. And the majority of people believe at some point they're going to be in the 1%. But effectively, with Social Security, for example, old people have figured out a way to vote themselves more money. And so the $120 billion increase the cost of living adjustment flies right through Congress, but the $40 billion tax credit for children gets stripped out of the infrastructure bill. So you've had this massive transfer, this unprecedented transfer of wealth from young to old and from the entrance to the incumbents. The bailouts that took place both here in the UK and the US were the greatest intergenerational theft in history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Commissary Kate, that's right. When Obama bailed out Wall Street, 2008. Was working in Rancho Mirage as a personal assistant for an ultra wealthy person. Figured that the masses would come crashing the gated communities. No, nobody's interested in stuff like that. Don't forget the Occupy Wall Street days when Obama's policies shut that shit down. Yep. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, the TARP program was a total bipartisan giveaway to the wealthy. Well, I'm not against people having money. I mean, just against the fact that it's easy for people to hoard it. Like we just allow for it to get easier and easier for people that have money to not pay their fair share or, pull some weight. Yeah. It's a good call, Denver. That all the money printing and remember the zero interest rates for pretty much a decade. There was like zero. Yeah, they didn't, more than a decade. They didn't start raising interest rates until after COVID. Right? we were at zero interest rates for a really long time. And that's basically free money right there too. And then there was the COVID, was it the CARES Act? Okay, let's keep going. This show is going to run a little longer today. That might either annoy you or make you happy. I don't know. We were talking about the newsroom show the other day. Here's another clip.
Most conservative Republicans today aren't Republicans. Republicans believe in a prohibitive military. We believe in a common sense government, and that there are social programs enacted in the last half century that work, but there are way too many costing way too much that don't. And we believe in the rule of law and order and free market capitalism. The Tea Party believes in loving America, but hating Americans. Tea Party Congressman Alan West of Florida. I must confess, when I see anyone with an Obama bumper sticker, I recognize them as a threat to the gene pool. They believe in loving America, but hating its government. Conservative activist Grover Norquist.
I don't want to abolish government. I simply want to reduce it to the size where I could drag it into the bathroom and drown it in the bathtub.
And they believe that anyone who disagrees with the Tea Party has sinister anti-American motives.
The objective of the liberals is to destroy this country. The objective of the liberals is to make America mediocre.
And one other plank in the Tea Party platform. If you're poor, it means you're either too lazy or too stupid to be rich. Here's Andre Bauer, Tea Party leader and lieutenant governor of South Carolina. My grandmother was not a highly educated woman, but she told me as a small child to quit feeding stray animals. You know why? Because they breed. It's almost hard to believe Republicans can't get Dorothy Cooper to vote for them.
All right, let's keep going. This is a concerning post. So remember the other day I was talking about the big, beautiful bill. And I'm going to have to go back, Bella, and watch the Newsroom series. Because I really didn't watch it at all. So maybe I should go back and do a little binge. Didn't Herman Cain, didn't he die of COVID? Is that my memory correct? So I saw something about the big beautiful bill and the possibility of like election reform or suspending of elections or something like that. So here's some more on this from maybe this is a more credible take on it. So let's see. This is from Lev Parnas. Trump's next power grab, election reform, is here. We've witnessed Trump bully Congress. We've seen him weaponize ICE, turn DOJ into bludgeon, and hand Vladimir Putin Ukraine on a silver platter. But what I'm about to share with you now is even more dangerous because it's not just about war or immigration or executive power. It's about the end of democracy as we know it. I don't know that he's given Ukraine to Vladimir Putin. I think they're actually increasing the bombing of each other. So I don't know. Anyways, my sources are telling me this is priority number one inside Trump's inner circle, a total overhaul of the U.S. election system branded as election reform, straight from the pages of Project 2025, written by Russell Vought and Stephen Miller. This isn't a theory. This isn't going down the road. It's already in motion. This isn't about making it safer. It's about ensuring Trump can never lose again. What they're preparing is a nationwide takeover of elections through executive power. And if they succeed, free elections are gone. Here's what's being drafted right now, according to Project 2025 and confirmed by my inside sources. Again, take this with a, view this skeptically until, there's further confirmation. So here's what they're trying to do. Ban mail-in ballots, except from the military, eliminate early voting, purge voter rolls aggressively, ban drop boxes nationwide, use ICE and Homeland Security to monitor polling sites in minority districts, replace nonpartisan election workers with MAGA loyalists, criminalize noncompliance with new voter ID mandates, even for naturalized citizens, centralize election authority under the president. Which, just as an aside, presidential power has been, steadily gaining over the years, from Bush, actually from Reagan, but all the way up through now. So Trump is the recipient of even more presidential powers that were enacted through previous presidents, right? So every president comes in and tries to grab a little more power. So this is not actually that surprising. It's Stephen Miller's dream, it's Putin's playbook, and Trump plans to make it our new reality. Let me be crystal clear. It's worse than the ICE bill that just passed. It's more threatening than the Supreme Court's recent rulings. It's more permanent than any single military strike, because if you control the elections, you control everything. And while the media focuses on distraction after distraction, Trump is already laying the legal groundwork to make voting optional if you're not voting for him. I know this because I used to be in those rooms. This isn't just legislation. This is psychological warfare. Pretty much everything that's happening right now is psychological warfare, by the way. They want you to believe there's nothing you can do. They want to overwhelm you with chaos, but you can fight back, and you must, because we're past the tipping point. Trump's team is counting on apathy, on silence, on fatigue. That's why this newsletter exists. This community is not just informed. You are now part of the resistance. Don't just read this. Spread the message. Forward this email to 3 to 5 people. Post it. Restack it. We need to outnumber their lies with our truth. Make sure you subscribe, and if you haven't already, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Been told by multiple insiders close to the Vought Miller team that the election reform is Trump's first executive initiative. Once he consolidates full power, the infrastructure is being drafted now. ICE will help enforce it. DOJ will validate it. Congress won't stop it. The courts are already compromised. This is why we can't wait. We can't look to 2026. We need to act now. I've risked everything to bring you this information. I'm still under DOJ supervision, but I refuse to stay silent while Trump dismantles democracy piece by piece, and that's why I need you. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. I was inside. I know the players. This is happening, and if we don't raise our voices now, we may never have the chance again, etc. So I don't, what's up, Uncle Warren? What it do? Yeah, so take that in as some information. I don't know. That's not totally confirmed. Just giving you somebody's views. And I've seen several different sources talking about the supposed coming election reform or election, whatever you want to call it, interference, maybe. Chuck says, vote harder doesn't work. You need to build support systems and leverage people power. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's keep going. I told you it was going to go a little longer today. because we're going to try and cover everything I got here in the queue. By the way, if you like the show, if you support the show, if you want to support the show, if you want to see the show keep coming to you for free Monday through Friday, which is generally what I keep a schedule of Monday through Friday at noon. If you want to see the show continue, we desperately always need your support. Lots of ways to support the show in the description box on YouTube or the link tree on X or on Telegram. All the usual avenues are there: PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, and Substack is also available. All right. Here's another report about so-called stealing of the next elections, and we'll see. My skepticism is not about the fact that I don't think it is possible. My skepticism is just about making sure that we have, correct information when we're operating. But this is from MSNBC again, Be wary of all sources, especially mainstream media. Trump is going to try to steal the next election. The Justice Department is exploring whether to criminally charge state or election officials for alleged failures to secure voting systems, despite lack of evidence and no legal precedents. All right.
New reporting from the New York Times on the Trump administration's weaponization of the DOJ, now looking at ways to go after election officials if the administration, quote, determines they have not sufficiently safeguarded their computer systems. That's according to people familiar with the discussions who spoke to the Times on the condition of anonymity to describe internal discussions. They go on to report that, quote, in recent days, senior officials have directed Justice Department lawyers to examine the ways in which a hypothetical failure by state or local officials to follow security standards for electronic voting could be charged as a crime, appearing to assume a kind of criminally negligent mismanagement of election systems. Already, the department has started to contact election officials across the country, asking for information on voting in the state. Those sources also told the Times that this move is not based on any new evidence, but rather on Trump's unsubstantiated, and we should note, legally disproven, claims of voter fraud and foreign manipulation. New reporting from the New York Times on the Trump administration's weaponization of the DOJ.
So a little more supporting evidence that something is in the works regarding elections. So just stay aware, keep reporting on this as new things come in. This is from Maine. GOP have structured the benefit cuts, especially to Medicaid, to largely start after the midterms. 4D chess, bro. You're going to get stoned and drown in a bowl of guacamole. Man, that sounds... I mean, I don't need to be stoned, but I could do with the guacamole part for sure. For sure. But whatever floats your boat, however you got to do it. So yeah, I guess the tax cuts for billionaires begin immediately. Apparently there's no taxes on tips and overtime. I think that did make it into the bill, so I suppose that's okay. State and local tax cap increases. Higher state deduction, safety net cuts starting later, 2026 and 2028. So, I don't know. Again, you have to take everything. You have to be really skeptical of everything. And I'm not taking this post as, total fact. Hey, yeah, man. Sugar Rush Peach and Purple Jalapeno. Yes, sir. My mouth is watering thinking about some guacamole. I just bought me some aguacates. Maybe I'll make some guacamole too. Shoot, man, maybe I'll make some guacamole too. We're not even to the ice part yet. But here is just a little bit of COVID news. I know COVID was so long ago. But COVID actually was a foundation for a lot of, I think COVID is as relevant as, continuing to talk about COVID is as relevant as continuing to talk about 9/11 because it was a foundation for a lot of fuckery. 9/11 was a foundation for a lot of fuckery, and so was COVID. So you really have to stay. 9/11 was so long ago. We already know the fallout from it. And we're already past the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, but the reason why things are happening the way they're happening with Trump is partly because of 9/11, partly what Bush started with 9/11 and with presidential powers and the NDAA, et cetera, like all those things have made the road much smoother for Trump and his ilk. Denver says, I've had baby back ribs smoking for several hours. Heck yeah. Also got over leftover chicken, crispy potatoes. Nice. Lasagna. All right, there you go. All right, let's listen to Jeffrey Sachs talk about where he thinks COVID came from. I feel like I've played this one before. He thinks it was made in a U.S. lab.
COVID was caused by a virus that from the very beginning had telltale signs that it was made in a laboratory.
Right.
And I've studied this very intensively over the last 4 years because I chaired a global commission about these issues. The CIA finally said what is true, which is that this virus came out of a lab. What they didn't tell you, and what's quite important, is that it almost surely was made in a U.S. laboratory.
Oh boy!
Not in a Chinese laboratory. It may have been tested in a Chinese laboratory, but it was made in a U.S. laboratory, probably in the University of North Carolina, by the way, just to mention. We have a lot to learn, but there's a lot of trail about this. It's awful, and it was hidden by the Biden administration. This decision by the CIA director to make this statement is a kind of partial step because it was said that it's, yes, probably out of a lab, but China. Okay, that's convenient. But the truth is it was probably out of a lab made by U.S. scientists and perhaps sent to China for testing. One very good theory is that the Wuhan facility has a colony of a specific kind of bat population that the U.S. scientists wanted to use for testing this new virus because they wanted to see whether these bats in China would be susceptible to this newly concocted virus. But there's a big trail of evidence. In the end, it's not going to be the CIA, it's going to be the FBI if they ever get on this to crack this case, because this is an inside U.S. job, and it wouldn't be so hard to find out. Probably they know. University of North Carolina, by the way, has been sued for 2020 and 2019, especially emails. They're holding off releasing 2019 emails. The University of North Carolina, are you kidding? They should be the first to say, in the public interest, we release everything so that we can understand what happened. they're holding these emails secretly and fighting nonstop to keep them from public scrutiny. And that's unbelievable. We do need to find out what happened. There's good reason to believe that Tony Fauci funded extraordinarily reckless, dangerous research that went awry.
Where is Tony Fauci these days? He disappeared. I don't know where he went. Oh yeah. Well, don't forget. What was his name? The guy that was indicted for sharing data and materials with the Chinese, who was at UNC. What was his name? And yeah, probably. What was his name? But that was very fishy that he was indicted for that. Charles Lieber. Oh, yeah, that's Harvard. Okay. Was it? But who was it? Are you talking about Ralph Barrick? Was it North Carolina? Wasn't there somebody at North Carolina that was implicated in something? Am I mixing things up? I might be. Ralph Barrick. Okay. I think that's probably who I'm thinking of. Mm-hmm. And this is interesting. An explosive new report is turning the COVID pandemic narrative. Well, interesting, and also people were saying this for the entire time that COVID was going on. I feel like after things started shaking out after 2020, from like 2021 on, there were so many people actually during 2020 people were saying this, that they were mismanaging patients in hospitals, and that was creating most of the supposed COVID deaths. An explosive new report is turning COVID pandemic narrative on its head. The data is damning. A bombshell analysis published by the Canadian research group Correlation reveals that the 2020 mortality surge, I'm just laughing at the name Correlation, 2020 mortality surge across Europe and the US didn't follow the pattern of a viral outbreak. Instead, the evidence points to something far more chilling: a mass mistreatment of vulnerable patients inside hospitals and nursing homes. Wow. The 400-page report, authored by researchers Joseph Hickey, Dennis Rancourt, he's in there, and Christian Leonard, lays out a case that the deadly first wave from March to May 2020 was not a natural pandemic. Okay. And he gave the links to the report, so that's good. Thanks for giving the links. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Barrick was doing coronavirus tests that caused myocardial infarction. Yeah. Well, yeah. There's papers right out there saying testing of coronaviruses that cause heart problems, right? Yeah. So they were working on it, and then it happened. I wonder if there's a correlation there. Anyways, this is the abstract. Large peaks of excess all-cause mortality occurred immediately following the World Health Organization's March 11th, 2020 COVID-19 pandemic declaration. In March to May 2020 in several jurisdictions in the Northern Hemisphere, the said large excess mortality peaks are usually assumed to be due to a novel and virulent virus that spreads by person-to-person contact and are often referred to as resulting from the so-called first wave of infections. We tested the presumption of this viral spread paradigm using high-resolution spatial and temporal variations of all-cause mortality in Europe and the USA. Anyways, the data reveal several definitive features that are comparable with the viral spread hypothesis. Let's see. Oh, I think I'm going to have to download this to read more. Anyways, there is a link here. I'm just not going to read it right now. It's already 1:12 and I have so many other links to cover. So I'm going to go on to these other. But it has been widely spoken on that the excess deaths were not only mismanagement of people that were that presented at the hospitals, but the restricting of availability of over-the-counter drugs that could help people, like vitamin D, ivermectin, bapadibu, hydrochloroquine, etc. Okay, please take a moment to watch this clip. This is I have so much to say about what I think is about to happen now that Trump is about to have his legislative agenda signed into law. It's about to get very dark, and Americans should be preparing themselves for a whole new level of oppression because Trump just invested $170 billion to create a national militia, not just to terrify immigrants, but to establish a national enforcement arm of government to manage dissent with your tax dollars. So let's listen to this. Very interesting.
So they're going to come with us.
H. Carroll, 3813.
So speak any English? They do
not. Okay.
We can do translating. Come with us?
No.
No, so under what? So all we're going to do is
It's hard to hear.
TV monitors on them and let them go on their way. It's that simple.
Okay. Then why are your faces covered?
That's fine.
What's wrong with me filming?
We're going to protect our families, ma'am, and you know.
We're protecting our families too, ma'am.
They need to come with us. It's called.
I'm not going to show the rest of that video. The amount of disassociation it takes for a person to wear a 3%er t-shirt and a American flag face mask as you go to immigration court and kidnap migrants in front of their immigration attorney. These are not federal agents. These are people that are cosplaying law enforcement. They're deputized by their local police department. And so you can wear regalia that depicts anti-government white supremacist ideology, and you can wear that in public while you do this to immigrants, protected status immigrants, not just horrible criminals. These people are showing up to their immigration court hearings, doing it the right way, and they're still being detained and deported. Notice that this woman infantilizes her voice. She changes her voice to make herself more approachable, to make that person trust her. It is psychological manipulation to the nth degree and inhumane. I'm going to make a video later today to take a deep dive into this big ugly bill and what this means for funding for DHS, ICE, and border protection. And y'all aren't ready for the amount of money they're about to get. Just to let you know, $45 billion over 10 years for just to build detention facilities, okay? More to come on that. We have to keep pushing back. If you see these rats in your community, make a scene, film everything, make it as disturbing as possible. With this funding that is coming, because this bill will pass, Republicans will cave to Donald Trump. This deportation effort is going to be quadrupled. It is going to get worse. So y'all keep fighting, stand in the gap, and keep talking about this because it's important.
As has been documented, they're targeting people at work, not violent criminals, just people working. But people are fighting back. And resisting this, which is what you need to do.
All right. I need people to start moving back. Start moving back. Quick.
Where are they going?
They're being. What's that?
Where are they being detained?
Get out! Get out! Bro, everybody step back, please.
Fuck that. Where the fuck are you taking them? Where are you taking them? Where are you guys taking them?
Get out of here! You're not American! Get out! Shame on all of you! Shame on all of you! You're not American!
Hey, where are you guys taking them? Where do we go? Where are we taking them? Where are you guys taking them? Where are you guys taking them?
Watch out!
Where are you guys taking them? Where are you guys taking them? What fucking facility, dumbass?
What facility? Detention center.
What fucking detention center?
What detention center? Give me the address. Oh, shame on your family. Shame on all of you. Fucking shame.
So that's right, Bella. Get that diaper off your face. These people are not Americans. They are an enemy, occupying enemy force. And Americans who live here and who believe in the in due process and the laws that govern people and the laws that govern this country need to turn it around. Like these people are the ones that need to be deported, sent to detention centers, locked up, tried, and sentenced for their crimes. That is what needs to happen sooner than later, because that's what's happening. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Trump is sending Marines to Florida to help with ICE. I mean, we just need to really start viewing these people as an enemy occupying force. Enemy is somehow here from within, but they are not Americans. They are not citizens. They're not welcome here. They're treasonous individuals, and they just need to be treated as such. The Trump administration is sending 200 Marines to Florida to help ICE, not to defend a base, not to respond to a disaster, to help deport people. To put a finer point on it, ICE isn't targeting criminals. They're targeting families, day laborers, people picking fruit, pouring concrete, cleaning hotels, folks holding this country together.
But Florida officials are calling it Alligator Alcatraz. The facility, once a remote airfield in the Florida Everglades, is now transformed, filled with white tents. The administration says it will hold up to 5,000 undocumented migrants. And all of this comes as the administration ramps up its deportation efforts. At the start of President Trump's term, the administration vowed to deport the worst offenders. Now, new data analyzed by ABC's own television station's data team shows a recent shift towards arresting migrants with no criminal convictions. When asked about the recent changes, the Department of Homeland Security maintained that 70% of the arrests ICE made were of criminal illegal aliens. But the apparent shift coincides with an increasing number of viral videos showing masked agents detaining suspected undocumented immigrants, like the violent apprehension of Narciso Barranco, the father of 3 U.S. Marines. His son, a veteran, saying he felt betrayed to see his father repeatedly struck by the agents.
I definitely felt a little bit betrayed, because how can this happen to someone who has no criminal record?
Let's see. We'll read some chats here. Chuck says actual resistance needs their own Second Amendment militias resisting these unaccountable thugs. Yeah. 10,000 new ICE agents and 5,000 on the border in the new budget. Yep. Denver says they have tasked Chat GPT like chatbots on data collection and backdoor access to everything, plus a new 10-year ban on AI regulation by states. The coup is complete. It's already happened. It's true. They are snowflakes who can't stand up to actual resistance. That to remember that they are bullies, and bullies are always cowards. Alligator Alcatraz again is flooding again. I'm going to try and wrap up in a few minutes, guys. We were told yesterday it could withstand a level 2 hurricane. A level 2 hurricane. Well, most hurricanes hit much harder than level 2 these days. This has bacterial infection written all over it. Alligator Alcatraz got flooded again. Get a warranty. This is from 7 Seas. I guess describing the near future of existence. Oh, thanks, Kate, for the contribution on Ko-Fi. I appreciate you. Kate kicking down support. Thank you. 7 Seas says, you were flagged in our system as a suspicious individual and possible dissenter for a post that was critical of Israel in 2025. So your UBI payment for America Coin was not approved to be transferred to your World Citizen account. We understand that you came in here for a migraine. Here is a mandatory mRNA vaccine for the headache virus. Now please step into line labeled CCOT pre-registration to complete your visit, and expect today's costs to be automatically deducted from your final payment. Really? Kameshwari Kate says, many astrologers around the world are saying the Pacific is going to do a lot of shaking and the water is going to rise. Uh-oh. Nobody's blocked here, guys. And if you're having any issues with comments, it's, it's all on YouTube. Or whoever. All right, it's gonna get really ugly before we get out of here. Throwback pic of Christy Nome, ancestor, a guard at Auschwitz, and Christy herself at her own modern Auschwitz. There's supposed to be a big quake tomorrow. Is that what's going to happen? Oh Jesus, I'm in the wrong spot for an earthquake. I am in the wrong spot. Okay, well, I'll keep my eyes open and get ready to run. Bella says, I never get notifications from YouTube anymore, and I'm heavily shadow banned. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the world of the shadow banned. Oh, lastly, we're going to this is ugly. Sorry to end on such an ugly note. There's footage coming out about IDF raping a Palestinian. But the media will not show you this. Japan has been shaking because of earthquakes in the past couple of days. Okay. Well, thanks for the heads up, guys, because that affects me. Sabby Sabs, the same media outlets that spread the lie about beheaded babies, won't tell you about this. It was a lie, by the way. New video of IDF soldiers raping a Palestinian. Victim suffered ruptured intestine, severe injury to anus and lungs, and broken ribs. Israelis then rioted for right to rape, and government ministers defended this activity. This is, I don't know if I really want to show this. Anyways, I'm not gonna play this. There's no need for me to play this. But the footage is out there. You can see it. Victory Gin posted the peacetime flag of the USA. Hopefully one day it will be unfurled across a free land of truly free people. There was a magnitude 4 in Oregon this morning. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I know California is way overdue for an earthquake. Don't remind me. I know this. I've been in almost every major Californian earthquake since 1971. And even though I'm very used to it, not gonna say I don't really enjoy the experience. So. So we're going to leave it at that. I don't think I have anybody else to thank today as far as contributors. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you being here. And let's see. And I'm going to get on the road and do some other things today. And I will see you all on Monday. So enjoy your weekend. And yeah, have a good time. Be safe out there and all that kind of good stuff. Peace, guys.